Hi, Bo, you all waited for me. Thank you. I guess at least most of you waited for me. Oh, thank you so much for waiting. The timings just get so, confusing sometimes. Okay. It seems that everybody stayed, thank God. Let's see where I'm up to. I was giving class here and then I have a disciple, Janava. She was my first disciple and her daughter is 20 and she's here and she grew up to be such a nice devotee. Wow. Okay, let me see where I'm up to and we will discuss. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mādhava-purīra ārādhanā puṇya-tithi daiva-yoge upasanna haila tathi. By divine arrangement, the auspicious appearance day of Śrīla Mādhavendra Purī arrived. Om Jnana-timirandasya gananjana shalakaya chaksu militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Yeah, I'm kind of sitting in a very relaxed way. I just came from Vrindavan today, from Govardhan. I told you I'm constructing a little ashram there and I'm hoping you'll all one day get a chance to stay. We'll just have a couple of rooms, but apartments actually, and they'll be very nicely done. And I had an account in the Govardhan Bank, so I had to go there and get some money for the construction. And oh, wow. There can't be any COVID in India because everybody would get it. The Govardhan Purikram, I went on a Kadasi with Bhakti-Vigan Swami. It's packed. Then I go in the bank and it's stuffy and it's packed. No one wears masks. So I checked also, the COVID is very rare here. So it must be some kind of herd immunity has been achieved here. Some people here got some positive PCR tests, but it's not. And then I drove here to Vrindavan, and then I gave class to the people here, just about 5 people, but people that I'm close to. And then I was speaking to them, got a little carried away and got lost. So this is about Mādhavendra Purī. He is the branch. Somehow or other, he was a disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha in the Madhva line. But somehow or other, he was inspired in a very special way, because he's the guru of Advaita Acharya, and is he the guru of Lord Nityananda too? So, anarpita charim charat karunaya vatir na kalo samarpiyatam unatojvala rasham svabhakti swayam. Anarpita, never before given, charim charat, for a very long time, karunaya vatir no, it's come now, something's very special. And what that thing is special is the full revelation of God. I've mentioned many times what a person is their heart or relationships. You are a student, you are a teacher, you are a lover, you are a son, you are a parent, That's who we are. We are our love. That's why Krishna is called the Kila Rasa Amrita Murti. He is the full embodiment of love. So what Krishna means is when God is fully manifest out of love. But what type of love? Intimate love. Because a person is not fully manifest out of formal love. They're only manifested out of intimate love. So we are the path of intimate love. And that's the love, is the most forceful love, is intimate love. Where God himself reveals himself fully. So this comes somehow or other from Mādhavendra Purī. Even there's a town in Govardhan named after Mādhavendra Purī called Jatipura. So Lord Chaitanya is there, and his Param Guru, he's the disciple of Ishvara Puri, who's the disciple of Mādhavendra Purī. This is the Guru of Lord Chaitanya's Guru, and his appearance day has come, and it's very, very special. So Mādhavendra Advaite Yadyapi Bedanai Tatapi Tahana Shisha Acharya Gosai. Although there was no difference between Mādhavendra and Advaita, Acharya Gosai was Mādhavendra's disciple. So there's no difference because this is the Guru Parampara. So in terms of even if they're Mahabhagavats, they are disciples of their Guru. But their Gurus are Mahabhagavat, they're Mahabhagavat, there's no difference. Even one time at Prabhupada's disappearance day, I forgot, one great saint came, and it's kind of eulogy. Well, it's not eulogy, it's when someone dies, but some kind of glorification where you can, you don't have to be completely literal, but he said, if Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami and Srila Prabhupada were in the room at the same time, who would Lord Chaitanya come to first? I say Prabhupada. I say Prabhupada. I say Prabhupada. And the point is, it's a spiritual personality. When we pray to Krishna, we pray to past Acharya. It's not that they're past, they're eternal. And you can't make this differentiation between people on this platform. But sometimes there's that sad. I remember there was one disciple of Prabhupada, a Marwari, an Indian businessman, who was the most fanatic Prabhupada disciple. I mean, he was unbelievable. And somehow he was in Mumbai, but he had a place when you come into the Radha Govinda Mandir in Jaipur. It's like a fort. You're not coming in just to the temple. The temple's in the middle of the king's palace. You're coming into a fort. And on the wall, they had houses, just regular houses. And he saw, this was maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago, with a young group of straight edge kids, people. And he said, come to my house. I'll give you something. And he gave us some snacks. And then he started preaching. He said that Prabhupada is greater than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu only worshiped Krishna, and Prabhupada worshipped Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, and two is greater than one. So it's a sentiment, but the sentiment is at least value that each member acharya of the disciplic succession is worthy, because that's what the cyclic succession means. It's a lineage. The energy is flowing through people, through great acharyas. It's the same energy. There's Vyasti Guru and Samasti Guru. There's the individual guru, and then there's the principle of guru that flows through the individual guru. So in that line of Madhavendra and Advaita Acharya, there's no difference. Although in the cyclic succession, Advaita Acharya is the disciple of Madhavendra Purī. Madhavendra Purīra Dehe Shri Gora Sunda Satya 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 Viharananta. It is a certain fact that Sri Gaurasunda constantly resided in the body of Madhavendra Purī. So even though, and this is the point, he's mentioning if Advaita is non-different, then what about Caitanya Mahaprabhu? Because he's in another lineage down, because Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the disciple of Ishvara Puri, who's the godbrother of Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya is senior. So if he's not different than Madhavendra Purī, then what is Caitanya Mahaprabhu's position? And what is said, because actually he is God, even though he comes into cyclic succession, he is the one who's himself who's entered into the body of Madhavendra Purī. And that's the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness, is we should become a vessel for love. We should become a vessel for divine love. That's why anarthana vritti is so important, to get rid of the things that are useless, have no value devotional service, so we can actually become a vessel. That was my whole, actually, this whole COVID thing, that was my own personal objective during COVID. My personal objective during COVID was, I'm 71, it's age appropriate. Now it's time for me to work on my bhajan. Time for me to work on my spiritual practices. And what was my mood? I don't know what was going to happen, but I was going to try to clean my heart and make myself a vessel so that I can be used by Krishna. Savyasachin, just become, Krishna says, Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, just become my instrument. So it's not the instrument that is great. What is great is who uses the instrument. And because we as instruments are conscious persons, our greatness is we surrender to being used by God. But once you're used by God, then you're equal to another person who's used by God. And here it means that Madhavendra Puri's service was so incomparable that Caitanya Mahaprabhu entered into his heart himself. Takane o Madhavendra Chaitanya Kripaya Prema Shuka Shindu Majhe Basine Sadhya. Yet by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, even at that time, Madhavendra always floated in an ocean of ecstatic love, because that is what ecstatic love is. Ecstatic love is your heart opening up in devotion and the mood of seva, which attracts the Lord's internal potency, which is the pleasure potency itself. So when one is actually a receptacle for service, God's pleasure potency is flowing through his heart. And what is that? That's the mood of service, the mood of devotion, the mood of love. That's real pleasure. So, so this Madhavendra Purī is a receptacle for love. We have false ego, and therefore we want to be separate or independent from that energy. So therefore we're crazy. Prabhavas tavat abhota jato. We're crazy because we're doing the very thing that causes us anxiety. And that's closing our heart to God's love by the false egoistic conception that we want to be the object of pleasure rather than the subject of love. So Mādhavendra Purī was just incomparably surrendered soul, and therefore Niravadi Deha Roma Harsha Ashru Kampa Hunkara Garjana Mahahasya Stamba Dharma. His body was always decorated with hairs, standing on end, tears, shivering, roaring, thundering, laughing, being stunned, perspiration. This is at the platform of Bhakti Rasa. This is called Astika Sattvika Bhavs. These are just ecstatic, involuntary symptoms. I've explained this many, many times at a very high level of devotional service. One is so focused and so receptive to Krishna. His heart is so soft that he becomes stunned with emotion, and it affects his body physically. You're crying, but it's not you saying, let me cry. You can say, let me dance. Let me hug someone. Let me pay my obeisances. But you can't say, let me cry. You just cry, you shiver, your hair stand on end. So this is describing Mādhavendra Purī. Niravadi Govindera Dhyani Nahi Bhai, Apane O Na Janena Ki Karena Kai. He was always so absorbed in meditation on Govinda that he did not know what he was doing. So, this is prema. Prema means sandrandana visheshatma. Sandra means metal. There's no space in between your consciousness for anything but Krishna. And the example was given of Bhishma Dev as prema, that person who fought in so many battles, that person who spoke on so many subjects. He just focused his mind on Krishna. He just focused his mind on Krishna. And to such an extent that there's no conception of anything outside. There's no other thought that there's even anything outside your conception, your absorption. So he did not know what he was doing because he was moved by bhav, not by intellect. When you move by intellect, you know what you're doing. When you move by emotion, when you move by the supreme emotion, you don't know what you're doing. Just like someone who's drunk, he doesn't act for love. He doesn't act for pleasure. Out of pleasure, he acts. So when you're not acting for something, but out of something you're acting, then there's no guide, there's no direction. And this is his prema. Pati kali hate op apana apane nachena paramarangi kari hari dvane. Even while walking on the road, he would dance in ecstasy and chant the name of Hari. Kakohona vahina sananda muchahai dvitina prahade o dehi vayanai. Sometimes he would lose consciousness in ecstasy for 6 to 9 hours. This is history. There are ecstatic states. There are people that become overwhelmed with love, and they're rare souls. Manushanam sahasreshu kasya dyatati siddhaye. Kahono va virahe ye kaninrodana gangadara vahiyena abuta katana. Sometimes while absorbed in feelings of separation, he would shed tears like streams of the Ganges. Such topics are certainly wonderful. So he's just absorbed, overwhelmed in this love, this spontaneous love for Krishna, which is our goal. And what other goal could be better than being overwhelmed with the highest pleasure, the highest love? We're all seeking love. That's what's missing in our hearts. So his ecstasy is described further. Kakana hasena ati ata hasa parananda rase krishnae hoyadigvasa. Sometimes he would laugh loudly, and sometimes in the mellows of ecstatic love, he would forget to dress. It makes sense. It's described that to preach, one has to come down to an uttama adhikari, a mahabhagavat. An uttama bhagavat has to come down to the madhyam platform, because you can't stay just on the platform of emotion to preach. And on the platform of emotion, there's no distinctions, because that's an intellectual function. On the platform of emotion, there's just feeling. And in that humility and love, you start to see everyone serving Krishna, because you're seeing through the eyes, atmavan manyate jagat. You're seeing through the eyes how you think. And that's so common, even in the world, how we have different visions according to we see things differently according to our emotions, according to our ideas, our conceptions. So this is existing on the highest platform. In this way, Madhavendra enjoyed the highest happiness in Krishna, of Krishna consciousness, yet he was most unhappy to see the world devoid of devotional service. So I was discussing this in class today. There's when Śrīla Prabhupada's sannyas guru disappeared in 1968, he told the devotees that we should write some condolences. And then he said, you send this prayer. And he sent the prayer, Vairagya Yug Bhakti Risham Priyatnaya Payamamamana Vipsamandam Kripambari Yaparaduka Duki Sanatanas Tam Prabham Asrayami. Vairagya Yug Bhakti, renunciation, Yug Bhakti, enriched, devotion enriched with renunciation from this world. Vairagya Yug Bhakti was sampriyatnai, with the ecstasy of this world. I was unwilling to take it because I saw the renunciation. But you forced me to do so, para dukkha dukhi. Therefore, even though you have no suffering, you suffer for the others. Keshavas tam Vairagya Bhakti Rasampriyatnaya Paya Mamada Vipsamandam Kripambadiya Paraduka Duki Sanatanas Tam Prabham Asrayami. So he put Sanatanas Tam. Later, I found out that this was a verse, actually, Prabhupada, he just put Keshavas in because as this was Raghunath Das Goswami praying to Sanatan Goswami. And what Raghunath Das Goswami said to Sanatan Das Goswami, what he said to Sanatan Das Goswami was, well, he prayed to him, it's by your mercy, I didn't want to take this, you gave me this. So Prabhupada thought this was really apropos for what happened with my sannyas guru. and my sannyas. And he was saying, I was reluctant to take sannyas. Prabhupada said he was reluctant to take sannyas, but Narayan Maharaj, his guru Keshav Maharaj, and Munidas Vanachari, a 93-year-old man that joined the Gaudiya Math, they came to Radha Damodar to try to convince Prabhupada to take sannyas. Prabhupada was reluctant. Prabhupada finally said, I'll take sannyas if he takes sannyas. And it was a 93-year-old man. He wasn't learned or anything. He just came to retire. So Keshav Maharaj said, okay, I'll give him sannyas. So he took sannyas with him also. So anyway, that verse has the famous line. It's from Balap Kushmanjali, a bouquet of lamentations by Raghunath Das Goswami. Evidently, Prabhupada was reading that book. Otherwise, how did he get that verse? Paraduka duki, but I'm suffering for the suffering of others. I'm suffering for the suffering of others. I have no suffering. But when you have something that you're relishing, and the highest thing to relish is devotional service, when you have that something, then if you have heart, you lament for others who don't have it. That's the whole story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha and Krishna are enjoying love, this intimate love. And when they wanted to give to others, then the audarya, or the magnanimity emotion, supersedes the madhurya or intimate emotion, and then Radha Krishna become Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's the whole principle. And that's the principle of preaching. We follow, we taste, and we distribute. And the tasting part is so important, because if you're not when I took sannyas from Satsvarup Maharaj, he told me the first instruction Prabhupada gave at his sannyas is, you should when you go to the home of a rich man, you shouldn't think, oh, I could have had that. Oh, I could have had that. Because how can you preach? You think you have to feel for the person. What are you going to give him if you want what they have? But no, when you taste bhakti and you have some flavor of bhakti, then you really feel for people who don't have it, because the suffering we have is more in the heart than anything. It's that lack of connection with God. He would daily think about people's welfare. His desire was that Krishna would advance. No one knew anything about the festivals related to Krishna or the all-night chanting of Krishna's name and glories. The only religious principle and pious activity that people knew was to sing the glories of Mangala Chandi through the night. That was Durga. The only deities they knew were Shasti and Vishahari, the goddess of snakes. They worshiped these deities with great pride. Some people worship demons with wine and meat for the purpose of increasing their wealth and family. Everyone was happy to hear the glories of the best of yogis, the best of the sense enjoyers, and the best of the rulers. Only the most pious persons would recite the names of Pundarikaksha and Govinda at the time of taking bath. By the influence of Vishnu's illusory energy, people did not know who was a Vaishnava, what was Sankirtana, what was dancing and crying for Krishna. The entire world was entangled in the mode of ignorance. So this is in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The root of the tree is Mādhavendra Purī. People didn't know these things. And somehow or other, he had this compassion because he was experiencing it. When he tried to speak with a sannyasi, the sannyasi would claim to be Narayan. Because of this unhappy situation, he would not speak with sannyasis. He would not find any place where devotional Krishna, service to Krishna was discussed. Even those renowned as jnanis, yogis, and ascetics and sannyasis never spoke about the glories of service to the Lord. All the teachers simply taught dry argument, tarka. They did not accept that Krishna has a form. On hearing and seeing such things, Mādhavendra Purī became unhappy. He considered going to reside in the forest. It's really suffering to see the madness of the world. I was thinking about, whoops, you got to see my whole scene here. I was just thinking about this today, thinking about writing different Monday morning greetings. Because I was out on the Govardhan Parikram Marg at Dangati, which is the most crowded space, waiting for my good friend Raghunath Pujari to come and help me sort out this information with the bank. And I was sitting there, and it's Govardhan, so people are devotional and everything, but I was just thinking of the madness of the world, the absolute lunacy of the world. I was also thinking of how even devotional service, I can't read, my notes are not here, but someone recommended, I don't watch Netflix, I'm not on Netflix, but they wanted me to watch something, which I'll write a Monday morning greeting on, called The Social Dilemma. And it's about the sophistication of how big tech controls your mind in such subtle ways. And all they're interested in is, you see, because it's a free service, Facebook, so how do they make their money? The product is you. And what they sell is you to the advertisers. So they have to find out as much as possible about you. So the advertisers, what the advertisers do is they get your information and they figure out with certainty how they can sell you things. But to do that, because they already have the whole world on social media, they have to, for their business to grow, they have to increase your engagement in it. And they know how to work your minds and get you addicted and play on different emotions. And I'm just saying how it's the anti-yoga world, because yoga world is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. It's getting rid of these superfluous thoughts, especially in bhakti, for desires that are selfish. And then your people are completely controlled. I'm going to write about it. I'm going to summarize this up, but I'm just thinking And then I was just thinking about Prabhupada, how right Prabhupada was. Because it looked things were going well, but Prabhupada knew better how right he was, that what is missing is Krishna consciousness. And that the world is Priyanalpa Yasha Shubha Kalavas Min Yugejana Manda Sumanda Mate Manda. It's surcharged with opposition to happiness and spiritual life. And it's surcharged with steroids now. And all the young people are growing up with this influence in their mind. Not what they want, what other people want them to think. So it's just such a lamentable condition. And therefore, Krishna consciousness has such an urgency. Prabhupada's fervor was right. It's really what's needed in this world. When Prabhupada met his guru, Śrīla Bhakti-siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he was talking about, liberation from the British, he said, Krishna consciousness can't wait. It can't wait. So Mādhavendra Purī, he had that taste and distributed. I went to see, I can't show you the picture now, but I wrote about sadhus of Vrindavan, and this is really nice sadhu, Jamuna Jivana, at my retreat. He'll come and do kirtan one evening. Wonderful, wonderful person. He's the real thing. And he spent 24 years in this Kusham Sarovara by himself. I don't even know how to passport. And just chanted and chanted and chanted and read and studied, and then moved to Radhakund. And now it's amazing. He's like completely just preaching all the time and traveling and preaching. And I can see that's a nice way to do it. I was joking with him when I went to see him. I said, I preach to become qualified to sit down in Govardhan and chant Hare Krishna. But you sat down in Govardhan to, and chanted Hare Krishna to become qualified to preaching. And that's the best preacher, Bhakti Siddhanta said, a bhajananandi, one who gets pleasure in his worship, a bhajananandi who preaches. Prabhupada in the fourth canto, there's one purport that when one realizes his eternal relationship with Krishna by spiritual impetus he gives. So I can see really that's like Prabhupada, a lifetime in preparation. That's when you really have potency. All the teachers simply taught dry argument. They did not accept that Krishna has form. On hearing such things, Mādhavendra Purī became very happy. He considered going to reside in the forest. Things are nuts. You want to get away from it. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karma jnanavritam. Bhakti means not covered by gyan. And what's gyan? It's still selfish. I want peace. I can't stand this world. I feel that way sometimes. Just go away. Interactions in this world, seeing what's happening, it's just so disturbing. And what's disturbing is not a disease. What's disturbing is people who run the world. That's what's disturbing. And how people react and so many other things. Why am I looking for a Vaishnava among ordinary people? In this world, I have not even heard the word Vaishnava. Therefore, Kali Yuga is so special as a purport. In the Bhakti Sandarbha, in the introduction, I remember devotion, I said this many times, devotion in the form of kirtan is unlimitedly merciful to those who are devoid of false prestige. And therefore, people want to be born in Kali Yuga. because it gives so much facility to be humble. We have so few powers to control the world. Everything is so far beyond our control. It's a great opportunity to become humble and therefore be able to feel the mercy of God that is flowing. A person who's entitled or proud never feels kindness, never feels love, never feels happy. So, therefore, I should leave these people and go to the forest so I do not have to see them. The forest is a better place to live because I do not have to speak with non-devotees. Well, he was unhappily contemplating in this way by the will of the Supreme Lord. He met Advaita. Advaita was greatly unhappy to see the entire world devoid of devotional service to Krishna. Still, by the mercy of Krishna, the lion-like Advaita always preached the devotional service of Vishnu with firm determination. He constantly taught Bhagavad Gita and Śrīla Mādhavendra. He taught that devotional service was the purport of these two literatures. At that time, Mādhavendra Mahasaya arrived at the house of Advaita Prabhu in Shantipur, where Advaita was exhibiting enthusiasm for preaching. As soon as Advaita saw the signs of a Vaishnava in Mādhavendra, Advaita offered him obeisances. And Mādhavendra Purī embraced Advaita and soaked his body with tears of ecstatic love. They both became so absorbed in discussing topics of Krishna consciousness that between themselves they forgot about their bodies. The ecstatic love of Mādhavendra Purī is beyond compare. He would lose consciousness upon seeing a cloud. As soon as he heard the names of Krishna, he would roar loudly. In one moment, thousands of transformations of ecstatic love for Krishna would manifest in his body. Advaita Mahasaya was most pleased to see the manifestation of devotional service in Vishnu in Mādhavendra Purī. Advaita then took instruction from him. This is how Mādhavendra and Advaita met. So I'm going to stop for now. I'm sorry I was 17 minutes late, but thank you all for staying on. Jamuna Jaya, are you there?
Yes, Hare Krishna
You
Maharaj.
want to share? It's a nice way to start.
Yeah, there's something, well, that last thing about Mādhavendra Purī losing consciousness when he sees a cloud is just, that's really amazing. But when you said, and I'm not on social media much, but that realization of on Facebook, the product is us and that they're selling us to the advertisers. That never occurred to me. What a powerful realization. So thank you for that, Maharaj. I never thought of it that way.
Advertising, they have to be certain. Advertisers have to be certain that they can sell you the product. So that certainty comes from monitoring everything we do on the internet and creating a profile which they can appeal to, knowing that they can get you to do what you want, what they want, despite what you need. It's insidious, and we don't understand how much they know about each person. Okay, thank you. Hemalata Radha, Shaim Kishore, Haribo.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the class, Maharaj. It was wonderful.
Thank you. Nice to see both of you.
Thanks so much, Maharaj, for this great, at the beginning of the class, great sentence. We should become a vessel of spiritual love.
Yeah, that'll make us happy. So I will either see you in Govardhan or Colombia.
Yeah,
One or
we
the
are still
other.
looking for tickets and trying to make it happen. It's becoming a little difficult, but we'll do our best.
One way or another. Okay. Anybody else? Say hello.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much for the class.
Oh, you're missing your daughter in Govardhan Eco Village, huh?
Yes, yes, I really miss her. But she's very busy there. She's doing
But
a
how
very intensive
wonderful,
course.
how wonderful that you have a daughter that's become such a devotee and so happy to meet people from around the world. And even I was here, someone was here in my class and said, oh, obeisances from Surya Radhika. I said, oh yeah, she's my friend. So that girl was from South Africa. So she has friends all over the world now.
Yes.
And good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's very good. Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank
Nice
you.
to see you, really.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here.
Hi, Bo, Tota.
Haribo.
Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Govinda.
Ambrosia. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for class.
Missing you in Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Your main man, Raghunath. I love the guy. He's the most loving person. He's 100% Vaishnava.
Yeah.
He went to
Yeah.
the bank. It was insane. That was insane. It's just insane what he had to do for me. But he was patient, and because usually I go to the bank manager's office and they call everybody in and do everything for me. Because I've been there since 2007. And it was like the thing, the Maharaj comes in, he goes into the bank, the bank president's office, and then they serve me. And they call in all the Indians. I don't wait online or anything. I never wait online. They send them with my bank book behind the counter. They come back, they do something. But this was, and in India, they change bank presidents every 2 years so that they can't become thieves if they in one place too long. This guy was completely nasty. This is the first time we had to go online.
Wow.
And they're insane to get your own money out is like something else. But he was patient. And then he drove me all the way back to, Vrindavan. I gave class here today. So, and meeting people. So that's my plan now. I'll be in Govardhan, and every Wednesday and Thursday I'll come back and give class. That's my, okay. Haribo.
Very well. Listen to you.
Hare
Hey,
Krishna
anybody
Maharaj.
else? Kadamba,
Haribol.
I'm in separation from your house. You stayed there
It's
so
okay if
long.
you're not.
What?
I said
What's
it's
that?
okay if you're not.
No, I am. My big soft bed downstairs, my own bathroom with unlimited hot water. I'm in Govardhan because of my debilitated Venus. It doesn't matter how nice I make a place. They put in something where if the electricity goes too high, it shuts it off. So, because it'll ruin all the appliances, right? So we only get, and then we have an inverter, but the inverter can't run the hot water. The inverter can't practically run the computer, and it also goes out. So basically, we only get electricity right now for about 3 hours. So it doesn't matter what I do, what money I spend, how Vikram puts marble and tiles in the building and fixes everything. It just what follows me. Still taking cold showers in Govardhan. So I'm thinking of your bathroom with the hot water flowing and like that. Yeah, so But I'm okay here. I'm okay. Here.
Well, we're always in separation and waiting for you to come back. So
Okay, I'll be back. I'll be back. Okay,
Thank you very
anybody
much.
else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you for class.
Oh, Haribo. Okay. I'm coming there in end of March. I'll see you both. Okay. Okay.
Thank you,
Haribo.
Maharaj. See you.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, I'm gonna head out now. Vancha kalpa trubhya shakha prasinda bheva cha patitana.